Of hot issues, and welcome to the first edition in the month of September. So there's some bit of fire in our neighboring country, Togo. You've seen opposition parties demonstrating. Well, they say they're unhappy with what they term as the Nyasingbe dynasty. 38 years of Nyasingbe Yadema, 12 years of For Nyasingbe, and they are not happy. This afternoon, hot issues, we want to focus on the crisis in Togo, because if for nothing at all, they are our neighbors. And we've been joined by one institution that says, you know what, we're picking some intelligence and the crisis is about to get worse. My name is Winston Amoa and this is Hot Issues. After this break, I'll be introducing my guest and then we find out why they believe that the situation is about to get worse. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, so welcome back from that short break and thanks for staying with us. This is Hot Issues and my guest for this afternoon is Executive Director of the West African Network for Peace Building, Chukwu Emeka. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
I believe you're doing very well.
I'm fine.
And you're monitoring the situation in Togo?
Yes, we are.
What's the situation now?
Well, for now, I think we are having some kind of stalemate. There is very serious pressure on the opposition not to continue the demonstration, but they have insisted that come 6th and 7th of September, they are still going ahead with a major demonstration. But the other side of it, the flip side of it, is that those who are supporting the government are also preparing their own demonstration. So is it going to be a clash?
What does that mean for Togo? I mean, now that you're having a counter demonstration,
I think the first thing is to acknowledge that it's within the right of the citizens to either express their frustrations or support for the government. And I think that whichever way, the government should be robust enough to accommodate all the dissenting voices. And so far, I'm not sure that what has happened because the statistics is showing a different thing, that those who are opposing the government and asking for a review of the constitution to be very clear on term limits of the president have been clamped upon, and then their rights have been trampled upon, and there has been also a counter narrative of even the opposition demonstration group also fighting back the military and seizing their arms and ammunitions. So we are in for something that looks like a very terrible situation if nothing happens.
How terrible does it look like?
It's terrible because I think that if you look at the statistics of what has happened in our region, beginning with Burkina Faso down to the Gambia, you will also know that this is looking like a wave of what, if you like, West Africa's own spring. And this is exactly how it starts. One gives life to the other, and I think that if you look at the West Africa sub-region today, we have two types of stability that continue to manifest. The first one is something that looks more like a consolidated autocracy. And then, of course, the other one is something that looks more closely to consolidated democracy. Now, what happens is that a movement from one to the other.
What's the situation in Togo like?
I think it might be right to say that we have a consolidated autocracy in Togo.
They're going through elections.
Yes, they are going through election, but in a situation where people are describing the leadership of one family for close to 50 years, then that's
the constitution doesn't prevent them from doing so.
Yes, but that's the question. The point we are trying to make here is that there are situations where the constitution, even if it is complied with, is a systemic issue that gives rise to violence.
What's the issue with the constitution now?
The issue with the constitution is that it limits participation. Democracy is about robust participation. And the opposition, their claim, no matter which angle we look at it from, is not far from the claim of the opposition group and the citizens of Burkina Faso. They are in our own region. We are saying, and a lot of citizens are demanding, for a kind of democracy that gives room for participation of all citizens, which includes clarity in the terms of limit, in terms of office.
Chukwu Emeka, when people prefer a certain candidate, they would vote for that candidate. When people do not like you, they wouldn't vote for you. So, if For Nyasingbe stands for elections and wins, it means the Togolese love him and they vote for him. Why should that be a problem?
That is agreed. But there is a choice of majority of the states that make up the ECOWAS community. And if a particular choice is working and is not working very well in a particular place, we can bring the two lessons to the table. The first lesson is that over 13 countries in West Africa today, they are very clear about the terms of office of the president, which says 2 terms. Over 13 countries are clear about this. A presentation has been made before the Authority of Heads of State and Government through the Mediation and Security Council here in Ghana, when Ghana was the chair of the authority. I remember the then Minister for Foreign Affairs made a very serious case that all countries should support the review of the Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance to include term limits for offices of the president. 2 countries in West Africa opposed, and that's Togo and the Gambia. We saw the direction that Gambia went. And of course, by then...
He lost the elections.
Yes, he did not just lose the election. Part of the issue cumulated from the ambivalence in the tenure of office. So what a section, if you like, of Togolese are asking for is, let us review this constitution.
Yes, but in the case of Gambia, in the case of the Gambia, Yahya Jammeh lost the election.
He lost the election.
He lost the election to Adama Barrow.
We have not approached an election. But what we are saying is, what is it that makes 13 countries adopt a particular practice within a community called ECOWAS, and only 2 countries are saying, no, we don't want to go in that direction?
They're sovereign states.
They are sovereign states.
And so they have a right to their own constitution.
They do. Appreciate it. But we are saying, if all is well, why is it causing a problem? And why are the opposition not allowed to demonstrate? And why are the opposition accused, rightly or wrongly, of also attacking the state? So there's something wrong somewhere. And if all we do is to agree that there is an existing constitution, then there is even no point to look at global best practices. There is even no point to talk about democracy. We could as well adopt a new form of government called familiocracy, so that the family will continue to rule, or we can engage in monarch in leadership through the kings and queens. But I think that at the 21st century, more than 85% of countries in West Africa are opting for a particular type of government.
Yeah, but when you say we could go for a familiocracy and all of that, I mean, in other jurisdictions, there's space in, I mean, if Hillary Clinton, for instance, had won the elections in the US, her husband would have been president. She also would have been president.
Yeah.
The fact that, I mean, Gnassingbé Eyadema had been president before, 4 Gnassingbé stood for elections. The Togolese decided to make him their president. You
see, my argument here is not to say whether what Togolese are doing is right or wrong. My argument is to say that things are working in particular countries. This is not in West Africa today, term limit, there is a nexus between term limit of office of presidents and violent conflict. It's been established. It's been established. So the difference between Togo and United States of America is not the issue of whether it could have been Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton. I think it's whether Hillary Clinton would have been able to leave if she had won the election after 8 years to give room for another person. But here we are after 38 years. 4 Gnassingbé have gone on his 2nd term. This is the 3rd term. And yet, it's not clear whether he is able to go on and on and on and on. Agreed. The source of the legitimacy is the constitution. But remember, Senegal happened. The parliament approved. But there's a moral question to that.
And he lost elections.
There's a moral question.
Abdoulaye Wade lost elections.
Yes, but even before then, before even the election, there were crises in Senegal relating to term limit. Before election, there were crises in Burkina Faso relating to the election. Before the election, there were crises in Gambia. So there is established pattern of countries in West Africa that have gone in the same direction for not having term limits. And I'm saying that it's not just about Togo. I'm saying that the entire West Africa sub-region, over 85%, have viewed this as an issue and wanted it to be part and parcel of the ECOWAS protocol.
Okay. You're picking some intelligence. What's it? What's happening in Togo? Pay your intelligence.
I think that the first concern for WANEP is the fact that ECOWAS have not spoken in the manner and the direction with the strength with which we know ECOWAS. And I think that's unfortunate because the ECOWAS conflict prevention framework is very clear about when ECOWAS should step in and make pronouncements. Agreed.
When should ECOWAS step in and make pronouncements?
So long as the state, under the responsibility to protect norm, which is globally acknowledged, that the states have a responsibility to protect its citizens. If the state, one way or the other, is being indicted to be violating the rights of its citizens, it is the time for not just ECOWAS but the international community to raise their concerns. That has not happened. Of course, this is now beginning to raise a very serious concern to us. Is it because the president of Togo, His Excellency Fonya Sigbe, is the chair of the authority? Is that the problem?
Well, he's the chair. You think that's creating problems?
We don't know, because we used to understand that by this time, ECOWAS should have issued a very strong statement condemning the crisis in Togo. That has not happened. And I don't think they are limited by mandate. The mandate says so long as it's an internal problem, ECOWAS should not intervene. But in this particular instance, there are records of casualties.
But it's still an internal problem.
It is an internal problem, but it is a violation of the responsibility to protect norm. And I don't think that part of what ECOWAS want to do in the 21st century is to allow other international organizations to raise their voices first. The proximity of ECOWAS and the whole essence and the spirit of being a community is being eroded by this issue.
Now that the Togolese president is the chairman of ECOWAS, how does ECOWAS go about this?
No, I think by now the Commission should begin to think about an extraordinary summit. The Commission should begin to try to issue a statement. The statement does not necessarily have to come from the chair of the authority. If the chair of the authority is fingered as being part of the problem, the Commission should issue a statement, at least to raise their concerns.
How does that solve the problem in Togo?
No, normally what happens is that every party to the problem is reminded of the extant documents of ECOWAS, including the protocols. There is the African Union protocol as it relates to human and people's rights. There is the ECOWAS protocol as it relates to free movement, free association of persons. There is a national constitution that is being violated. The people have a right to express their support. The people have a right.
But my point is, how does an ECOWAS statement solve the situation in Togo?
The statement is the first step that always happens. Is the first, of course. There are several tools that ECOWAS use. They use preventive diplomacy. If preventive diplomacy has failed, I don't think it has, which includes peer pressure on the leadership of Togo to be cautious and be circumspect in terms of how they are handling the issue. That's preventive diplomacy. I am hoping that that is going on. If that is not the case, if there are now casualties, including a planned demonstration by both supporters and opposition, I think this is the time for ECOWAS to rise up and issue a statement condemning every act of violence, referring all parties to the Constitution, bringing all parties to the table, agreeing on the steps to get to that table. But beyond that, to also take necessary steps through international norms and treaties to ensure that the citizens of Togo, both supporters and opposition, are protected under the law.
For now, we'll come back and focus on the bit about ECOWAS. This is Hot Issues on TV3 with Chukwuemeka, who is the Executive Director for the West African Network for Peace Building. And I am Winston Amon. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. All right, so welcome back from that short break, and thanks for staying with us. We're still focusing on the crisis in Togo and the role that ECOWAS should play. Chukwuemeka, so ECOWAS issues a statement, condemns it, says, go ahead, do this, do that, and then what happens?
Yeah, there is supposed to be pressure put on the government, including the role that Ghana, as a neighboring country, should play. Because I think that even though we are in a community, I think if you look at the community Ghana, Benin probably will be the highest hit if anything should go bad in Togo.
What is likely to go bad? Before we get to what Ghana should do, per the intelligence you're gathering, is it likely to go bad, go worse? Tell us. I mean, what's the intelligence you're gathering?
It's difficult to determine what will happen when you have a mob action. Mob action is difficult to determine. You can have all the planning, and in this instance, in order to show that this is just a segment of the society, right? There are people who are planning a support demonstration. Others are planning an opposition demonstration.
There are laws to deal with that. And
so what if they clash? There were laws to guide those when they already have started clashing, when there is clash between the military and the civilians, including allegations of the people taking arms against the military. That's a statement. The statement is very, very pregnant. The statement is saying, we don't believe in the sovereignty of the state. If the civilians can attack, as we heard and saw some on social media, if civilians can attack the military, it is a statement of dissatisfaction.
Great, but what's the intelligence you're picking in Togo?
Yes, I've just said it, that if, peradventure, this demonstration go on, there are possibilities of clashes. And don't forget, there is also element of international conspiracy. That is also...
What is that international conspiracy?
Which includes that there are external factors that are influencing the demonstration and so on and so
including
forth.
Ghana?
No. I've not heard about
You haven't
Ghana.
heard the spokesperson of the Togolese opposition say that they have support from a political party in Ghana?
Unfortunately, as an institution, we do not particularly deal with rumors.
TV3, we played it.
Yeah, but I don't have the substance.
But I have heard it.
Yeah, if I've not heard it, one. Secondly, if she said she's hearing that, then she needs to provide.
She says they're getting support from a political party in Ghana.
Yeah, then she needs to substantiate it as an institution.
She says she's never going to mention the name of the political party.
Yeah, then that's unfortunate.
So doesn't that put Ghana in a tight position then?
No, that's unfortunate, because I think there is a role that everybody is looking up to Ghana to perform, which is, first of all, as a neighbor and as a member of the community. Not just a member of the community, but a strong player in the ECOWAS community. I think Ghana also have a role to play, because whatever happens in Togo will affect Ghana. Ghana is not new to absorbing IDPs and refugees. You know, it has happened in during the Ivorian crisis. So I think that this is more reason why even Ghana should put more pressure. Ghana, especially, and Benin, should put more pressure on ECOWAS to avert whatever might happen if this demonstration continues unabated. Because I think that if at the end of the day, the Togolese government, either rightly or wrongly, continue to suppress opposition, or the opposition continue to attack the state through the military, then we are in for something more serious. And already, in the last 1 week that they scheduled this demonstration before, there were a lot of people wanting to leave Togo to come to Ghana. And even the immigration had to turn some of them back to say, look, issues in your country,
so
they resolved.
Now that Ghana has been accused of supporting the opposition party, now we don't know which political party in Ghana is doing that. What should the Ghanaian government do? One, by way of speaking to Fonya Singbe, bearing in mind that we are told the political party in Ghana is supporting the opposition group.
Again, I think I will rely more on what the government should do, what the government ought to do. There is a government in Ghana, irrespective of political party.
What should the government do?
The government of...
It could be the government's party.
The government of Ghana, the government in Ghana is respected within the community. Ghana is the second highest financier of ECOWAS. So there is a strong stake. Ghana is a neighbor to Togo. There's even a bigger stake to that level. So to that extent, Ghana should already be calling the president of the commission, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because I feel, personally, and that's my greatest concern, that it is not the same speed with which we are acting in Togo that we acted in Gambia. So I am now raising a concern. Is it because His Excellency Fonya Singbe is the chair of the authority? If that is the case, then we need to put other forms of pressure. Such as Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, and all other neighboring countries standing up. If the chair of the authority cannot call for an emergency summit to address the issue in his own country, which I'm not expecting anyways, then other members of the community should do that. The Commission should already initiate that.
It's gone on for 2 weeks. I mean, isn't it obvious that ECOWAS doesn't seem to care much about this?
But that's why we are concerned. And ONEP is issuing a statement this afternoon to that effect. That's why we are concerned. We are a partner to ECOWAS. And if there is anything inhibiting ECOWAS from issuing a statement, we'll go ahead and we'll issue that statement and circulate it even to the rest of the international community. You
say there are international conspirators in all of this?
Well, there is a conspiracy theory that I'm hearing. I have not substantiated it.
Which is that theory?
Of course, if there are elements that says that, look, once some part of this world is tired of a particular regime, that they could even sponsor either the opposition or the ruling party to go on such a demonstration. That is not for me to determine. The most important thing that is before me and before ONEP as an institution through its early warning is that for a very long time people have expressed concern about the constitution of Togo as being a likely source of conflict.
It doesn't look like degenerating into a civil war, does it?
I don't hope for that. That would be a worst case scenario, but I don't hope for that because to a large extent it has not been ethnicized. It is still focusing more on political actors. So to that extent, I wouldn't say it will lead to a civil war. But I think it's always important that at every stage in conflict, we try to address it as quickly as possible because the spread is something that we cannot control. If we cannot control it before it happens, now it has happened. The right time to have addressed it is yesterday. The other good time is now.
So, in how many days' time do you expect ECOWAS to issue a statement?
I expected ECOWAS to have issued a statement like yesterday.
You're giving them an ultimatum?
Oh, we cannot give ECOWAS an ultimatum, but we are going to...
You're only pressurizing ECOWAS?
We are not just pressurizing. We are trying to be detailed, about the implications of keeping quiet. The implication of keeping quiet is very enormous.
But can't the opposition parties in Togo also come together and push for Nyasingbe out through an election?
Well, I think that's also an option.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even sure the word push him out is the right word.
No, through an election.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking that the other question to raise is why is it difficult? We have best practices all over the world. All the colonial legacies that we have, none of them includes that you stay in power forever.
The British don't have term limits.
Oh, the British have periodic elections.
Yes.
That is very rotational.
Yes, they have elections too.
Yeah, but what we
but there are no term limits.
No. So, okay, let's focus on Togo.
Mm-hmm.
Togo was colonized by France.
Mm-hmm.
They have periodic election. They have term limits.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't they copy that? And we are even saying that in our own region, the best teacher is our experience. We don't want people to die like people died in Burkina Faso. We don't want people to die like people died in Côte d'Ivoire. We do not want people to die like some people died in the Gambia, just because of the ambivalence, the ambiguity in term limit. What is it with African leaders? That's the question.
Tell me.
I don't know. So if they cannot complete whatever they are doing in 8, 10, 14 years, what is the best practice that we have had over the years that the more you stay in power, the better for your country? As far as we are concerned, looking at history, we've not had a good case. We have not had a good case. In any case, who finishes whatever he wants to do on earth?
Tell me.
I don't know. So that is the question for our leaders. The West Africa sub-region is a leading example of democracy in Africa. We shouldn't be caught in this kind of mess. In Central Africa, we are not getting it right. In East Africa, we are not getting it right. So West Africa, 13. Now, I can confidently say 14 out of the 15 countries in ECOWAS is getting it right in terms of term limits. Why shouldn't Togo join their peers?
Why shouldn't you allow Togo also do what they want to do?
Why should Togo be alone?
No,
we're in a community.
Well, I mean, they decide what they want to do.
I agree.
They shouldn't be compelled to go according to the dictates of ECOWAS.
If that is the beauty, if that is what they want to do, the question then is, are everybody happy? Are people dying in the country?
Majority of the people seem to be happy, and so they are voting for foreigners.
One life is not something to celebrate. It's something to cry over.
The opposition should
It doesn't matter who died.
The opposition should know that.
Yeah, so but the opposition...
And resort to peaceful demonstrations.
No, expression. Expression is very important within the context of democracy. Expression is very important. The same way you accommodate support is the same way the system should be robust enough to accommodate...
Togo is a sovereign country. You want them to fix term limits because it's done in ECOWAS?
It's my wish, because they are a member of the community. They gain things from the community.
But they have their sovereignty.
They should... Yes, there is a sovereignty.
And so the people of Togo should be allowed to
make decisions. My brother, every
on
country in West Africa is aware of its sovereignty. But every country in West Africa is also aware of the strength and the benefits of being in a community. Every country is aware. Regional politics and regionalism is not out of what you can gain only. It's also about what you can give up. So is that too much to ask so that we have uniformity? In any case, even the proposed review of the protocol is not even saying you should all have 4 years of 2 term. You can even have up to 7 years. You know, so if I'm using my institution for an example, it's not an elective position to be the head of WANEP. But if people are not sure when the head of WANEP is leaving, it means people are not sure whether they will grow to become an executive director tomorrow. So that for me is a problem. So I can speak about term limits because in WANEP, it is institutionalized.
You have your own term limit?
Yes.
When are you leaving?
Well, I still have some time. I've not even done 3 years.
So when are you leaving?
But I cannot serve as the executive director beyond 10 years.
Beyond 10 years?
Yes. So it could be I can leave today. The Constitution allows me to leave today. But beyond 10 years, I cannot.
Chukwuemeka, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Wish you all the best.
My pleasure.
All right, so we wish the people of Togo all the best. That's all from us this afternoon on Hot Issues. My name is Winston. I'm on behalf of the team. Thank you very much for joining us. And catch me up on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7 on Monday from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. Have a lovely weekend. We're out.